Welcome to the Grueling Truth NFL Legends Show, brought to you by Gridiron Mo, new interactive football app. Make sure you check it out at www.gridironmo.com, also by SteelbergBox.com and RealBengalFans.com. As always, for the Grueling Truth Legends Show, I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. We got a special guest tonight. Actually played at one of the most prestigious high school football programs ever, Moeller High School. Also played at Notre Dame, maybe the most prestigious college football program ever. Then played in the NFL for 3 or 4 years, was the #1 draft pick. Help me welcome to the show, Tony Hunter.
All right. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Hey, no problem. As we talked, you played high school football at Moeller, maybe the greatest football program in the history of high school football. What attracted you to going to Moeller, playing football at Moeller?
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike. I had when I was in junior high school, my best friend was a year ahead of me. And he decided he was going to Moeller. And he went to Moeller, and he used to always talk to me about coming to watch him play. And so I finally went up to watch him play and just fell in love with Moeller. Fell in love with just the atmosphere, and that's when I decided to go.
All right. Your coach at Moeller was Jerry Faust. What was it like playing for him at Moeller?
Jerry Faust, well, Coach Faust, even to this day, is like a father to me. He's just a heck of a man. You give your right arm when you're playing for him, and you run through a brick wall to play for him. He's just that kind of coach. Very enthusiastic. He's a man of his word, and I just loved every minute of it. Loved every minute playing for him.
All right. What are some of what memory stands out from being at Moeller in your playing career?
Well, I ended up playing. I played football, basketball, and I ran track at Moeller, so I was pretty busy. But the thing that stands out, I don't know. I guess you had to discipline yourself. I had to discipline myself, and just work hard. I had to work hard. I had to make sure I was disciplined, and that's basically it. We played some big games. We played in some big high school games. We played against high school teams from pretty much all around the country. We played a team from New York. We played Dallas Jesuit. It was you were at the top of the line if you played for Moeller back in those days, and you played high school football because you played against the best in the country.
Now, when you got done with Moeller, you decided to attend Notre Dame. What was the big thing to get you to go there?
Well, at Moeller, when you're at Moeller, Notre Dame is just like it's the dream place to go. And while I was at Moeller, I'd always, we always followed the Notre Dame guys, and we always sent guys to Notre Dame to play, and so I'd hear stories about what it was like to play for Notre Dame. And so when my time came and I made a visit to Notre Dame, it's just what I had always wanted to do. I decided to go to Notre Dame, and I had a chance to go pretty much anywhere I wanted to go at that time. Ohio State, USC, Penn State. I was being recruited by pretty much everybody, but I had always wanted to go to Notre Dame, and I decided to go ahead and sign on the dotted line.
All right. Now, you played for a great coach when you first got there, Dan Devine. Your first 2 seasons, I believe, you played with Dan Devine as your head coach. Can you tell us a little bit about what his coaching style, how it may be different from Coach Faust, and just any stories you have about the coach?
Yeah, I like Coach Devine. Coach Devine was pretty much he was pretty much a CEO type. He pretty much let his position coaches handle the game plan, handle as far as installing the game plan to the players and that. But he was a good man, and I tell you what, we had some good teams under Coach Devine. We had some good teams, and we won some big games.
Yeah, I think in the 1980 season, you ended up playing in the 81 Sugar Bowl against Georgia and Herschel Walker.
Exactly. I'll never forget that. Herschel Walker, wow, he was unbelievable, man. He was unbelievable. I remember he dove over. We had a very good defense that year, and they had a goal line stance against Herschel, and man, he dove over the pile one time at the goal line. I'll never forget how high he jumped. So he was. It really impressed me. He was an unbelievable athlete.
Yes, yeah, I think it was his freshman year too,
and he was only a freshman.
Yeah, and I think they won the national championship when they won that game also.
They won the national championship, but I was really impressed with the kind of athlete that Herschel Walker was. It was unreal.
Now, in 1981, you talked about all Moeller players want to go to Notre Dame. Seems that the coach did too. Your old high school coach, Jerry Faust, became the Notre Dame head football coach. Were you excited? Did you think he could do the same thing at Notre Dame that he did at Moeller?
I tell you what, it caught me off guard because, I knew he could coach at Notre Dame. But I just happened to be walking on campus one day, and one of my fellow students said, "Did you hear the news?" And I went, "What news?" "Jerry Faust just got hired as head coach here at Notre Dame." I said, "You got to be kidding me." He said, "No, they just announced it. He's coming here. I think that was one of the happiest days of my life.
Now, he didn't have a lot of success at Notre Dame. What do you think led to Jerry Faust's downfall at Notre Dame?
Well, to be honest with you, I played 2 years under Coach Devine. I played 2 years under Coach Faust. Our schedule under Coach Faust was incredible. I mean, our schedule was playing top 10, top 15 teams every week.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if our schedules were quite that tough under Coach Devine. And I just think that had a lot to do with the schedule. We had some tough schedules under Coach Faust. And I always say they were NFL-type schedules that we played under Coach Faust.
Yeah.
Week in and week out, we played top 10, top 15 schools. And that's unusual.
Yeah, you were looking at playing Alabama, LSU. I mean, you played everybody back then. Miami of Florida, right when they were starting to turn into the Goliath program they turned into.
Exactly.
Yeah, they were probably outside of maybe playing one of the Air Force academies or one of the Naval, Air Force, Army, or Navy. Heck, Miami of Florida was probably considered one of your weaker opponents about 1980 or so.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So let's transition a little bit to your NFL career. You want to tell us a little bit about your draft day experience in 1983 and what was your first thought being drafted by the Buffalo Bills?
I was being told before the draft that I would probably get drafted in the first round. And I flew to New York. They flew me to New York to be with my agent at ESPN. I think that was the first year that they actually held the draft for ESPN, and it was in New York. And I think that was the first year that they actually had players there in New York for the draft. But anyway, it was a great time. When I finally did get picked to Buffalo, I was the 12th pick in the first round. And,
yeah, you were 2 picks before Jim Kelly.
Yeah. But I was I don't know. I was excited. I was excited to go to Buffalo. I was excited to be going into the NFL, and I was just looking forward to everything. Really looking forward to everything.
Yeah. Now the Bills had just hired a new coach, Case Stevenson. When you arrived, what were some of your best memories of that first season in Buffalo? I think you guys started off like 6-2, but finished 8-8.
Oh, did we start off 6-2? Wow. I'll tell you what, I like Kay. I talked to him before the draft, and he was telling me that they were seriously thinking about taking me with the first pick, and he wanted to know how I felt about it. I felt great about it. At that time, that was the time during Kellen Winslow was basically he was the big tight end. He was catching 100 balls a year, it seemed like. And basically that's what they were trying to do in Buffalo, was install the tight end into the passing attack. And I really look forward to that. My first year, it was okay. I made the all-rookie team my first year. And really had a lot of fun playing. Really had a lot of fun that first year.
Now, then the second year came, wasn't as successful. The team was 2-14. Bill's owner at the time was Ralph Wilson, who I think a lot of our listeners probably know who that is. Can you talk a little bit about him and the Bills organization while you were there?
Yeah, Ralph Wilson was a nice guy. I didn't, as a young player at that time, I really didn't get to know Mr. Wilson that well. A lot of our veteran players that had been around for a while, they knew him better. But I was pretty much just a first-year guy, rookie, and going into my second year. So I really didn't get to know Mr. Wilson that well. But I've heard some very nice things about him.
Now, you left the Bills after just your second season. You got signed by the Los Angeles Rams in 1984, played on a very good Rams team. Can you tell us a little bit about what Coach John Robinson, how it was to play for him as compared to other guys you'd played for?
Yeah, well, basically when I went out to the Rams, it was kind of strange because I got a call from, I guess I was supposed to show up to camp for Buffalo like maybe 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. And then I get this call from Coach Case Stevenson, and he tells me that you're going to be going to the Rams. And then I talked to John Robinson, and he says, okay, today is Friday. No, today, what was it? I think it may have been a Thursday. And he was saying, I want you to come out. You're coming out on Monday. And we'll start our practices. So I was out in L.A. I left Cincinnati. I was out in L.A. on Monday. And I ended up practicing in full pads that Monday. And I can remember being surprised that I was in full pads then. But I hurt my knee that first day. And that kind of set the tone for my time with the Rams because that knee was hurt the entire time I was with the Rams.
Yeah. That 85 Rams team you play on, very good team. Your first playoff game had to be a memorable one. A 28-0 thrashing over the Dallas Cowboys. Dickerson ran for like 248 yards. And if I remember right, you had a big fumble recovery that led to a 40-yard touchdown run by Dickerson. What do you remember about that game?
I can just remember Dickerson just running wild against the Cowboys. You know, he's a Texas native. So he really was looking forward to that game. I can remember the week beforehand. That's all he talked about. And he was really looking forward to playing against the Cowboys. We were really looking forward to playing against the Cowboys. And we had a great game. Eric had a great game, and we ended up beating the Cowboys, and it kind of set the stage for the 85 Bears. We played against the 85 Bears that following week in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, you know what my next question is? I interviewed probably about 7 or 8 months ago Gary Jeter, great defensive lineman
really?
for your Rams. Yeah, great guy, too. I still talk to him every once in a while. But, I mean, that game still bothers him, and letting the clock run out at the end of the first half, 10-0 game when you guys were going in to score, he still doesn't know what happened there. He's still mad about that. They were one of the greatest defenses in NFL history, if not the greatest. What was it like to play against that defense, and what do you remember about that particular day?
You know, what I remember about that defense was that there was never anybody really out of place, out of position defensively. There was always it was like they played on a string. They were always in place, and I tell you what made the difference, I feel like, for them was the defensive line. I don't think the defensive line really gets the credit that it deserves, but we had a really good offensive line that year. And Eric going for over 2,000 yards is testament to
you
that.
had Jackie Slater, Dennis Hare on that offensive line, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a really good offensive line. And, I mean, they dominated just about anybody we played against. They dominated. But against the Bears, we had trouble that day on the offensive line. And I think that was I don't think people talk enough about how good that defensive line was.
Yeah, they tend to just look at the linebackers, Wilbur Marshall, Otis Wilson, Mike Singletary, and forget about guys like Richard Dent, Steve McMichael. I mean, you look at the Super Bowl, Dent was the MVP of the Super Bowl. Right.
That was the strength of that defense, that defensive line. Yes, it was.
Yeah, almost any great defense, that's the strength of it, too. If you can get pressure, just like you're not going to find too many great offenses that don't have a great offensive line.
Right, exactly.
Now, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's where it all starts, on that line, in the trenches. So.
Now, at Notre Dame, if I remember correctly, you played wide receiver. What was the transition when they asked you to play tight end in the NFL?
Well, when I left Moore, I was actually like about 210, 212. By the time I got to Notre Dame, I was playing at about 220. So I was naturally getting bigger. And I played tight end at Moore. I played both wide receiver and tight end. So it was a natural transition for me to go into tight end because I like to block. Yeah. And, I like to block. So once the transition was really easy for me, but I went from wide receiver to wingback to tight end while I was at Notre Dame. And basically it was an easy transition because at Moore I was a wide receiver that moved in tight, played tight end, I blocked. So that's what I like to do. And so the transition was pretty easy for me. But physically, I just naturally was getting bigger at Notre Dame. So I transitioned to tight end.
All right. Now, you had an excellent first 3 years of your career. Basically, you only got to play 3 full years. You caught, I think, 120 passes in those years, so you're averaging 40, 50 catches a year. But you talked about the knee injury, 1986, got a little bit worse, and then basically it ended your career. Do you mind talking about that time in your life and how hard it was to transition away from football?
Yeah, that was a tough time. That was a tough time in my life. Like I said, my first day with the Rams, I remember twisting my knee, and I kind of reported it to the trainers, and basically, they said that it was, that it was okay, and that there might be a little something going on in there. But the thing was they wanted me to continue to lift weights and keep the muscles around the kneecap strong. But basically, to make a long story short, it was misdiagnosed, and I ended up playing 2 years with a torn meniscus in my knee. And it just got progressively worse, and my production became progressively worse as well. And But basically, that pretty much ended my career. Once I finally had to have surgery on that knee, they went in, and I never played another down once I had surgery on that knee because so much damage had been done to the knee by playing on it with that torn meniscus in there for so long.
Well, see, you bring that up. We've had a lot of guests on, former NFL players, and I mean, one of my problems with the NFL is just the way they treat the retired players. What is your opinion on how the NFL takes care of their retired players?
I'll say this. I think it's gotten better, and I'll leave it at that. I think it's gotten better. I think it's gotten better than it used to be, and I hope it continues to get better.
Yeah. So what are you doing these days?
Well, I'm actually doing some work at my alma mater, Moore High School, and we're doing some fundraising, and we're trying to raise scholarship money. Raising money for scholarships for kids that pretty much like myself that wouldn't normally be able to afford to go to Moore, but we're trying to make for scholarships that'll be available for those type of kids, and I think it's going pretty well. It's going pretty well.
Well, you got a website or anything you can plug? People can go check it out, maybe make a donation?
Well, the Moore website, moore.org, and they can make a pledge there. Moeller.org, www.moeller.org, and they could go to the annual fund section and make a pledge there. And but we are, like I said, we are in the process of setting up scholarships, and so that's coming. That's soon to come.
Yeah. So, do you watch today's football? You still watch it?
Oh yeah, I watch it all the time.
So what are some of the guys, or who are some of your favorite players to watch nowadays?
Some of my favorite guys. I tell you, I'm still the same. I like the teams that throw the football. I like to watch Carson Palmer throw it from Arizona, and I loved his receivers, and pretty much anybody that throws the football, those are the guys that I like to watch.
That's pretty much everybody anymore. The Super Bowl was a little rough to watch for you then, huh?
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Super Bowl. I enjoyed it. But back when I was playing, it was always man. The more you threw it, the more interested I was in. The more interested I was in watching it. So.
I don't think there's any doubt today you'd have been one of those guys catching 80 or 90 balls as a tight end.
Yo, I tell you, the guy from Carolina.
Greg Olsen?
What's that?
Greg Olsen.
Greg Olsen. Yeah, I love watching him play. He's a skilled tight end. And Tyler Eifert went to Notre Dame. I love watching him play tight end for the Bengals.
Yeah, he needs to quit getting banged up so much.
It's tough. I do want to tell you, he's catching a lot of balls, so that means he's taking a lot of hits.
Yeah. But, all right, Tony, anytime you want to come back, it was a pleasure having you. Have you on anytime.
All right, bud. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
All right. You got any final words or anything else you want to tell the people that are listening in?
Well, I'll tell you, I enjoyed it. And anytime you guys like for me to come back, I would most definitely love to come back and speak. So look forward to it.
All right. We'll definitely have to do that then. Maybe we get Gary Jeter on with you. Talk about that 85 NFC Championship game a little bit more.
That would be great.
But, all right. Well, thanks a lot. I want to remind everybody, tomorrow we will have an interview with former NFL legend Eddie Meter, played with the Rams from 59 to 70, still holds 6 of the records, 46 interceptions in his career. We will have Kerry Glenn from the Miami Dolphins on Wednesday. So make sure you check out the Grueling Truth Facebook page. Next week, we'll have J.J. Burden, old Kansas City Chief wide receiver. We'll have Bruce Reimers, former Cincinnati Bengal. And we will have, who was arguably the best offensive line coach in NFL history, Jim McNally from the Bengals, and then the Giants on also next week. Wow. So make sure you follow us at the Grueling Truth Facebook page. You can follow us on Twitter at Grueling Truth. Make sure you check out SteelbergBox.com, RealBengalFans.com, and Gridiron Mo. That's www.gridironmo. So for Tony Hunter, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to the Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.